Hello, I'm Casey,
And I'm Fallon.
and this is Render the Darkness. And we are here with a very special, awesome guest, Mr. Matthew. Would you like to introduce yourself?
You said special and awesome. My mom always said I was special. She never said I was awesome.
I kind
Maybe
of
that's
threw
why.
the awesome part in.
I appreciate that. And so I was looking around going, who's awesome? Hey guys, I'm Matthew Orton, host of the Drunken Cryptids podcast, located here in the central part of our great, wonderful state of Arkansas. So, and I run a podcast based upon personal encounters of the cryptid and the paranormal type and anything all in between, UFOs, aliens, you name it. By gosh, we talk about it.
Yes, he does.
Welcome.
Whoa, lots of fun. Had a good time when y'all came on my show.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
So,
We had a good time.
We got to talk a lot. Now it's your turn.
Yeah.
I know. I get quiet because I'm not used to being the guest. I'm used to being the host. I'm like, okay, so go on. Really? Go on. You know, I kind of feel like one of those bad dates. Go on. Really? You know? I'm just kidding. I don't do that on my show. It's supposed to be fun and uplifting, though. So it is a good chance to come out of my shell and not be the host. If you get to do this and you get to have other hosts come on, you'll see them totally different versus what they are on their show, because they're like going, oh, I get to breathe. I get to be, because we have so many one-liners that we want to spit out. Me and John from Miss Monsters and Moles are trying to come up with a way to do a show, an after-hour show of me and him, just, having some adult beverages and talking, and without having to have to worry about insulting each other at all, because me and John do that on a regular basis through our group chat. So I've been involved into the paranormal and the cryptid world since I was a kid. I've lived in numerous haunted houses, especially when I was a child. I'm originally from the great state of Utah, so I grew up in northern Utah. I had, many stories of Bigfoot growing up there. We grew up in the Wasatch Front outside of Ogden. And my stepdad had a cabin up in the Uintas. And so for those of you taking notes, the Uintas is where Skinwalker Ranch is located at in Utah. So now this was during the 80s, which we didn't know about Skinwalker Ranch at the time because there was no internet or, there was no shows like that on TV at the time. So, but we did have a lot of interesting encounters and weirdness that takes place in the Uintas. It's a very magical area. And not only in the Uintas did I go, but I went to the Wind Rivers in Wyoming as well. So I was a mountain kid. So I grew up exploring the mountains and being up there. And, you get the chance, you get to know nature's noises. You get to know what nature sounds like and what it doesn't sound like, and what's, mechanical, what's man-made, and what's not. So, and you get the, just how it was growing up. So, of course, after that, I joined the military, did 11 years in the United States Army, active duty. Been on 5 out of 7 continents. Yeah, 5 out of 7 continents. And then got injured, and my mom and stepdad had moved to Arkansas by the railroad. So I moved here in 2004, and y'all been stuck with me since.
Okay. So that opened the door for a lot of questions, actually. As you were talking, I had like question after question just rolling around. Obviously, Skinwalker Ranch immediately piqued my interest.
As it does for a lot of people. Once people realized that, I grew up there, and they're like, oh, did you go? I'm like, okay, first off, no, because we didn't know what it was. There was no news of this. There was nothing out there at all. There was no internet, what we're doing now. I mean, we had basic TV. I was the remote control as a kid. They wanted to change the channel. If they wanted the channel changed, I had to change the channel. Where sometimes we didn't want to watch TV. We got a remote control, and it was like amazing. I remember we got our first microwave. And this was like groundbreaking, to where it's still fascinating to me. Of course, I'm a grunt, so we're kind of special anyways. See, told you, Mom called me special. But yeah, so Skinwalker Ranch, my opinion, of course, I just theorize. I'm not an expert by any means, and I'll tell everybody out there, stay away from experts, because experts are not. It's somebody who is self-righteous enough to try and make a name for themselves. I'm definitely not an expert when it comes to the cryptid field or the paranormal field. I do have some really good theories, I believe, and my theories on these beings, whether it be paranormal, cryptid, or even aliens and UFOs, does change on a daily basis based upon new encounters that I hear, and new evidence that does pop up, and of course in our own research that we do as well. So, but Skinwalker Ranch, there is something going on. I think it's pretty dramatic. Most of your TV shows out there, I am very anti of the TV shows, especially of the paranormal ones. Not every haunting is demonic. A demonic haunting is probably a holy grail. It's rare and far and few between. But they're going to be demonic on TV because it makes good TV. Prime example. Did you just touch me? What was that? Tune in next week as we find out what that was. Oh, it was a raccoon. So it's the hook of what they do to bring people in. And again, it's good entertainment. So if you watch the shows for entertainment value, by all means. When they first started off, though, they weren't for entertainment. They were actually out there. Some of the shows were really trying to get evidence, trying to make it, and try and figure out what this was on the paranormal side. So, and then of course it all got commercialized, like everything does. They're produced. Most of the shows out there are produced, and I try and stay away from the produced shows. I can't stand it. Did you touch me? I can't stand it. I can't mention his name because if you do, he'll sue you. So, I mean, he's not going to get much. Get my laptop, maybe my Jeep. That's about it. But I kind of like my Jeep. I digress. So, it's like everybody talks about the 3 scratches, right? You always see 3 scratches. That's demonic. It's against the Trinity. Okay, cool. So everybody at home, get your hand up. Put your hand down like this. Oh. Okay, so everybody have your hand down. All right, cool. I'm going to grab a book. And the first thing I make contact with it, 1, 2 fingers. See that? Mm-hmm. 3. 3 fingers. 3 fingers always make contact. Mm-hmm. Always make contact. You're not going to have a 5-finger scratch. You're going to have a 3-finger scratch. That's a theory, not an expert. Just a theory. So that's something I've been working on, looking at on how scratches work. People say, "Oh, a scratch appeared, it's demonic." No, not necessarily. So, I just interviewed an exorcist, and his episode will air in podcast Time Travel tomorrow. But I don't know when this will air, but so it will have already aired by the time this one drops. And Terry comes on and talks about how he got involved into exorcisms, and he brings it up right off the bat. They're not demonic. Not every haunting is demonic. Not every case is demonic. And he can go, I can probably, he does a good job of breaking it down on how very little demonic activity is out there in these possessions and stuff like that. A lot of times it's brought into the different type of entity. A dark entity will be there that, helps with this. But other than that, the demonic ones, yeah, if you're with a camera crew and you're trying to get a demonic thing, yeah, I mean, not everything's demonic. Sorry, that's a little rant I have about it.
No, you're fine. Like, I understand both sides of that because, I understand why, if they're going to have it, I don't watch them either. I don't watch the paranormal shows. It's not my thing because I'm like you. Every episode, there's some kind of noise or there's something that they use to hype up the moment of that episode so that it keeps people intrigued and wanting to watch it. But it's one of those on the flip side of that too. If every episode it was like, oh, nothing here, nothing here, nothing here, people would stop watching.
Well, so I was just up in y'all's neck of the woods yesterday. Right. We talked off air about it. I have a research area up there. Lisa and Ray moved to Arkansas 3 years ago from California, bought 3 acres of land to retire and enjoy the quiet life. Don't blame them. It's a beautiful area. I mean, beautiful area up there. So, I mean, me and Jacob on the way up there were, Jacob is, he's my investigating partner in crime. Yeah, he really is. I mean, if I say, hey, I'm going to the woods, he's like, all right, what time do you want me to be there? Hey, do you want to go to Kansas, go check out a Honda mortuary? What time are we leaving? He's right there. So I give him a hard time on my show, but I won't let nobody else do it. Anyways, so me and Jake were talking on the way up there that how beautiful it is every time we go up there, and just like, man, if I didn't have kids, I would totally move up here and I would totally do this, you know. So, they move, they start having activity, and got lucky enough to meet with them on Facebook. Went there twice last year, and cryptid hunting and ghost hunting is a lot like fishing. It's boring. It's boring.
A lot of patience.
Boring. Boring. But when
Mhm.
something happens, just like fishing, it's like, whoa. And also, like fishing, you can't make them appear whenever they want to. Um, the episode that I was filmed in with Jason Kinsey Search for Sasquatch, um, we didn't capture anything hardcore or anything. The most major things that happened off camera, which happens, you know. Um, I was away from the camera guy when something rushed up behind me up there outside of Jasper. I mean, it came rushing right up behind me, so I'm flipping around thinking, I'm trying to see, what this thing was. And the camera guy saw me doing this, whipping around and everything, but I was so far away in the footage, we couldn't get to come on the show. We couldn't. I mean, there's no way we could air that,
Yeah.
because it makes for bad. You don't want to have horrible footage. Your screen constantly, doing like that. So that wasn't aired on the show. We heard a crazy owl. Then at one point, Jason heard something with chasing after it with a camera. And the funny part of the story was, I was wearing shorts and hey dudes, and they sent me down the hill in shorts and hey dudes chasing him to figure out what he was chasing. And so that's why everybody, if you watch the show long enough, teases me about wearing shorts all the time and hey dudes when I'm out doing investigations. To where even my mom will now tell me to wear pants. So, and I did wear pants yesterday. It was cold. It was cold up there yesterday.
Yeah, it's cold.
That's why I'm inside today instead of out in the tavern. I figured I want to be comfortable doing the interview. So,
Don't
but
be magical.
yeah. So yesterday, me and Jacob got there. We spent, oh gosh, all day, and walk around with Ray, checking the property out. Nothing, 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 nothing. Maybe a potential structure. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Nothing, 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 nothing. Miss Lisa was nice. She fixed us a wonderful dinner. She even made me a plate to bring home. Had it for lunch. Thank you, Miss Lisa. Um, nothing, nothing. I finally said, all right, let's go out at dusk. We've investigated at night. We've done it during the day. We haven't been out there at dusk. We pushed a little further than what we normally did. We found a track, a really nice potential track. And then we found another structure. And this one I showed you guys the pictures of. Some of the pictures that I had. Jacob has some better ones on his phone because I was too busy. I was like a kid in a candy store. I get excited when we find these things. I'm like, oh, it's right there, And again, it's that high speed moment of, adrenaline. That one track that we found, the structure we found. And then as dusk was settling in, Jacob was probably about maybe 20 yards behind me and Ray. And right in this thicket, we've been growled at before up there. And that the first time could have been a bobcat. Very easily could have been a bobcat. But so I had to write that. I have to tell everybody that up front. There are bobcat up there. So the growl could have been. I played some sounds. It sounded kind of similar, and I haven't talked about this on any show yet since it just happens. But I didn't talk about it this morning, by the way, on my show. So y'all get to hear the first part about this.
All right.
And
Yeah.
so we heard two distinct growls. They were deep, guttural. And, Ray had a shotgun, and Ray's this old retired Marine guy, and we made eye contact, and his eyes were just like, and I was like, and he looked at me and goes, you heard that? I said, hi, that's my line. And he goes, but you heard that? I said, yeah. And he goes, it's right there. And I'm like, no, it's around. We're going to have to go around. Whatever's in there can't come through there. We're going to hear it coming through because it was a real thick thicket at the time. So like behind me, I motioned Jacob, hey, come on, get closer. We're going to move around this bush. And as we moved around, we never heard it again, but we got close to this river. And at one point I stopped. I go, do y'all hear people talking? And it sounded like there were people having a conversation. And this is something we haven't heard before. No, we've been there before, a few times. Never heard this at all before. And we're quiet. We're sitting. We're listening. And I'm like, and Jacob finally goes, "Yeah, I do hear somebody. It sounds like somebody's talking." There's no houses back there. There's nobody over there. There's nothing at all. So I kept breaking up my phone, and we're trying to record for a few minutes. And, I was going through some of it today. We heard, maybe, Chris came by for a minute earlier, and we possibly heard, I might have picked up some of the chatter on here, but it starting to sound really eerily similar to the Sierra sounds that were recorded, and to where they're actually having, to where they're mimicking. You can hear these creatures mimicking the people and making fun of the people, and then the people are making fun of them. Is great. The Sierra sounds are amazing. So, sorry, out in the cold all day yesterday. So, we had the chatter. We sound like somebody threw a rock in the creek, and of course, all this happens as soon as you hit stop.
Yeah.
And everybody's all like, "Oh, they know what those things are." Bigfoot does not know what my phone is. Bigfoot has no clue what my phone is. Not a clue. They probably have an idea what the rifles do that people have on their shoulders and what they're carrying. And yes, and that's just a generational thing. Killer whales do that. They teach how to hunt, and they inside their pod, they teach their own strategies. So if you notice, killer whale pods all have their own unique strategies on how they hunt. And it's something that they teach, and they're very intelligent creatures. So why can't Sasquatch do the same thing? So they know what those are. This doesn't cause them any harm. So they see us with these things in our hands. They're not thinking, this is going to hurt me. This is no way, shape, or form anywhere like a rifle.
Yeah.
So they don't know what a camera is. And again, it's all theory because, you think about it, how are they going to know what a camera is? And that's if we go off the flesh and blood aspect of the creatures. We could go to the woo side of the creatures where they're interdimensional beings. They're living in another dimension. They come over here to visit. They like to hang out. They do mind speak. And I'm not discrediting those because there's tons of mind speak encounters. I've had Randy Bauer, who's got property up north, and he's had numerous mind speak conversations with these creatures who have said they're interdimensional, but their eyes glow red. So like I said, so maybe we're dealing with a whole bunch of, the whole Bigfoot community is so vast and is at war with itself because you have people in camp going, no, it's a flesh and blood creature. It's an unidentified primate of North America. Then why is it featured all over the world?
Right.
Okay, then you have the other camp. No, they're interdimensional beings. They're riding around in UFOs. It ties in with the UFO people. Then you have people in the middle going, okay, I can see both arguments. So, and then there's me. I'm kind of in the middle. Think some of the encounters are flesh and blood. Some of the encounters are paranormal, i.e. the woo side. And my encounter that I had at Fort Hood was a lot of the woo. There was some flesh and blood aspect to it, but I never saw it. So, but yeah, so we got the sounds yesterday, and then, yeah, that was pretty much about it. But the whole entire time, all day long, boring. So for a TV show for that, do you air that? Are you going to get sponsors for that? You remember, you got to have people on camera too go, oh, did you hear that?
Yes.
Did you just touch me? You got to have those things. You got to have those overly dramatic people on camera, and then you got to have the good looking people on camera. They're not going to put me on there. So yeah, they're gonna go through and handpick people who they're going to have who are going to fit a certain type, who are going to be able to do what they want to be able to do, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to pick a female every single time as well. They're going to have a female on the show, so that way it's a good mix. That way it appeals to another type of of folks. So that's how the shows are produced, and that's the sad part, is the people who are picked for a lot of these shows aren't necessarily picked because of their skill.
Yeah.
So like when I was on Kinsey's show, the first thing he said to me was, we don't throw rocks, we don't fake it, and we don't run.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. He goes, yeah, so if something happens, we don't run. I don't run anyways. You see me running, you better keep up because I'm disabled.
I mean, that does happen on a lot of shows. They go in, they're all gung ho trying to find something. As soon as they hear something, they're like,
It makes for good TV though. That's what you got to remember. It makes for good TV. That's what a lot of people are looking at. They want people, we turn on the TV to be entertained.
Yeah.
I mean, we do. I mean, I watch a lot of documentaries and I watch a lot of I watch the nerdy shows. So not everything I watch is cryptid and paranormal based. I'm a real big history buff. I love the old History Channel, all the old shows about that. And they would give you just enough in an hour to keep you interested enough for me to actually pick up, my phone now instead of a book and start researching. So at night, I'm actually researching. I'm reading stories, digging into some, ancient history stuff. And, through the research I'm going through, I have been for years. I've been tying into the Bible, tying in with the Genesis, tying into the Nephilim, tying into the ancient alien theories, tying into pre-Adam civilization theories and stuff. So yeah, I'm all over the place. I mean, I could talk about anything almost if you guys want to. I have enough information to get, and name drop some guys who have a lot more information than me about it and a lot more knowledge.
Well, I would just like to say that, and Fallon can back me up here, if we were ever on camera and something did not even necessarily have to happen, I could just hear a noise. I could hear a branch fall out of a tree. I would legitimately run. Yes. Because I promise you, I'm not the one that's out there searching. I'm just the one who's tagging along because I'm obligated. And I'm terrified. Anytime we talk about going to do anything, the first thing I ask Fallon is, does it have to be at night?
Yep.
Can we do it?
Yeah.
The night doesn't bother me at all. I mean, I went to Sally House up in Kansas with Chumming with the Spirits back in September, and I knew nothing about the Sally House. I didn't want to go into it with preconceived notions. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay, this is what I read online. That's what people were saying about it. So I read. So when they invited me to come, they're like, "Have you heard of it?" I was like, "It rings a bell, but I can't tell you anything about it." And like, "Well, why don't you look into it?" I went, "No, I don't think I will. I'm going to go into this blind." So I made sure that I kept everything. Now, here's the funny part, though. So, God works in really weird ways. Now, I do all my research, I do it from a Christian perspective. So I got to warn everybody up front. I do it all from a Christian perspective. And God likes to work in really strange, mysterious ways. So I have a 7 brew right over here by the house.
You say
and what? A 7 brew coffee.
Ooh, 7 brew.
I do like my 7 brew. So me and Jacob were swinging through there. And it was about 2 weeks before I was supposed to be going to Kansas. And no, me and Jacob were going somewhere. Where were we going? It had to do something. I know that much. I can't remember where we're going. But it was before the trip to the Sally House. And the guy who came out was doing the coffee. He's like, they're always like, hey, what are you doing? What's your plans for the day? And a handful of them there now know me as the Bigfoot guy or the podcast guy. So was getting a coffee. The guy goes, so you do the paranormal stuff too? I was like, yeah. And he goes, you should totally go to the Sally House. And Jacob started laughing. He goes, ironic, he's going there soon. So it's just kind of funny how something that's rarely mentioned, the guy at the coffee shop goes, you should go to the Sally House. And the Sally House was very interesting for a haunting thing. We actually got footage of the bathroom door opening on its own, being completely closed and opened. The wall behind me, I was sitting there, and now I had worked half a day, and then I had to drive all the way up there. So I was already tired from working and driving. It was after midnight, and in the master bedroom, the REM pod's just going nuts. I mean, the REM pod is just, it's not being quiet. It's almost like you're holding it, the antenna. Hey. That's how crazy it was going. All the EMFs around on the bed were going off as well. But the cat balls weren't doing anything. I'm going, cool, you're making a cool little Pink Floyd light show here for me. Cool, move a cat ball. I'm sitting on the floor, leaning up against the wall by the bed. And I'm like, come on, do something. So I'm not taunting it. I'm just kind of tired. Like, okay, cool. Yeah, you're in here. You're making this stuff happen. Yay. Impress me. Move a ball. Move something. I want to see you move something. Don't give me a light show. And the one guy was sitting in the chair in front of me. He goes, man, my leg just got cold. And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, which leg? And it was the leg closest to me. And I was like, huh. And I went, why am I cold? Now, the first part is September, still in Kansas, still hot. There is no air conditioning in this house at all whatsoever. So if you go in the summertime, you're going to sweat. You have to open up all the windows, which is going to throw off on your any EVPs you try and catch because you have windows open and you catch background noise from outside.
Right.
So we don't have the windows open upstairs. We have the windows open downstairs. So there's really no airflow in there. And it was quite warm. Again, I'm wearing my Hey Dudes and my shorts, okay, because I'm hot natured anyways. So leaning up against the wall, I realize I am cold. It is I'm like, okay, I got to chill. I got goosebumps. I got chills. And his name is Matt, ironic enough. He gets up out of the chair and he puts his hand on the wall beside me. And he goes, dude, the wall's cold. So you could feel on the wall right by me and move away and feel the heat of the regular room temperature and then pull back and how the wall would get cold all the way around me. And then on JD's thermal, I sat there and you could see me bright as day. And around me against the wall was all blue from the cold.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah. So to me, that was cool. And then as we were packing to leave, Larry was in front of me. We were carrying a table outside and we were cracking jokes, and the front door just slammed right in his face as we were getting ready to leave.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think they're like, all right, y'all are done.
Yep. Yeah, I kind of took us all over the place, man, for this thing. I apologize.
No, it's fine.
No.
This is very interesting.
Yeah, I actually have never. This is going to make me sound terrible, but I don't think I've ever heard of the Sally House.
Don't feel bad. I mean, I had heard of it, didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And the story's really cool, though. So it's a really fascinating story. It happened in 1993. It's one of the few documented cases they actually caught on camera of somebody being scratched. So you see the scratches appear up on their arm as the camera's on them. And this was filmed for one of these early shows that were actually out there trying to get evidence of the paranormal stuff. It's on YouTube, and because I never watched it, and then JD came down right after New Year's. We were hanging out, and he goes, "Okay, will you watch this thing on the Sally House now?" I was like, "Okay, I will." All right. And he's got a picture of me when they were going through and describing what they were experiencing in the house, and there's my face going, "That was me." So. But as you said, though, like you'll get scared, at night, the tree branch will fall. My ex, she wanted to go with us. She wanted to meet me one night. We were, there's a battlefield right close to here. So we thought it'd be kind of cool, record an episode out there. Oh, do on location, you know what I mean? Out in the woods. I mean, it'll be audio only. This thing takes batteries. All right, we'll bring batteries. I'll set at the table. We'll have a good time. How cool would that be? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
So, maybe do a little ghost hunting while you're out there. Just kind of something fun for the show. So she messaged me, and the funny part is, so we started, I just put fresh batteries in before we left. I mean, Jacob watched me put fresh batteries in. Had 20 minutes recording before his flashing and he was about to die. Batteries drained. So I said, okay, we'll take a break. Swap about the batteries and stuff, blah, 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 blah. And we'll walk around. And she texted me. She goes, hey, you guys still out there? I said, yeah. She goes, well, can I come hang out? I was like, sure, come on. And so she did. And she's not a believer. She wasn't believing any of this stuff at all. And we're walking. She was holding my right hand and Chris on my left. And Jacob and Tony and Karen were probably about 15 feet behind us. And she freaks out. I mean, she's pulling my arm out of the socket, twisting my arm around. And she's like, something just touched me. And she's got that scared smile. You know what I'm talking about? you know, when people get scared, they get that smile. And she had tears in her eyes.
Oh.
And I felt like that meme, first time. But what she felt, though, was somebody's hand go across her back like that.
Oh, wow.
Huh.
So, and that was the only paranormal thing that happened.
Wow. That'd be pretty cool.
See, I'm the opposite. I'd be like, you'd have been chasing me down going, what happened? And I would not tell you. I would be going straight to my car.
I used to think that getting touched would probably be freaky, but I've been touched at the Birdcage Theater in Tombstone. I was touched here at Four Quarters in North Little Rock. Let's see, where else have I been touched at? I feel like one of those weird, police shows. Where have you been touched?
I was just thinking that. Terrible.
Can you show us on the doll? Here be the map. Can you show us on the map where you've been touched at? Those are like the pretty big. The touch that come to my mind right off the bat was the one at Four Quarter and at Tombstone, and it was just. I mean, I wouldn't say it's scary, but it was. unexpected. And maybe, I don't know whether I'm just used to it, but it's like, I'm almost to the point now when the stuff happens, like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing now. Cool. Hey, what's up? You know, nonchalant.
So, like for Fallon and I, we've had conversations about that kind of a thing with the paranormal contact, or even just presence. And so, for us, you can watch videos about paranormal, and some of the videos you watch it and it's just like, eh. And then other videos you can watch it and you just get this feeling like it's this intense, like that felt real. You get this like shiver, this cold chill. Like, is that something that you experience, or have you just become so adjusted to those kinds of things happening that it's hard for you to decipher what that feeling is?
No, it's there. Okay, so the Sally house. I did not want to go upstairs alone. I don't know what it was. I would do it, but I didn't want to. You know what I mean? I did not want to. I mean, I had my flashlight on the I mean, it was almost the feeling every time you would start to go up the stairs, like there was something right there. You could just almost feel like this. It was like, almost like something was really jump out. Like when you watch a scary movie,
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing the jump scares, and one of those kind of horror films, ooh, jump scare. That's what it felt like. You knew it was coming. It was right there, and like, okay, it never happened though.
Yeah.
You can feel the intensity of it.
Just the intensity of it, but yes, but I did not want to go up the stairs alone. And I'm an old Army guy. But for some reason, I did not want to go up the stairs alone. I didn't want to do it.
Oh. So did you end up going up the stairs?
Well, yeah, because I was an Army guy. I was dumb, But I did. I remember I went. Yeah, so I did. I went at one and I got to the flights, but I kept. I mean, I fully expected something to jump out where the flashlight went at, because again, we had no. I mean, all the lights were off upstairs. The only lights we had on were down in the kitchen, and that was it. Spilling into. So the kitchen lights were on. They were spilling into the little dining room, which is part of the living room. I mean, it's a small, like, townhouse. Like, I mean, it's not a really big house at all. And so, I'm like, hey, go upstairs for a minute. I'm like, all right. And I know there's cameras. I know the cameras are watching me because we had, cameras set up through there. But as you start climbing those stairs, it just felt like, nope. In every step, nope. And there's a few times I started up and I came back down and said, I'm going to go and smoke a cigarette. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm getting, what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was an excuse not to, and speaking of that too, so I smoked. Here's a funny part too about being at that house is, I think I smoked a grand total of maybe 2 or 3 cigarettes the whole entire time that we were there, because you didn't want to. There's just something about that house and being in that house. It's weird. It's weird when, and I'm not going to say it's all based upon what happened in 1993 to this family, because it's a pay to play place. And pay to play place to be, you gotta be careful on, because people will go in there, I mean, I could get a hold of them right now. I could book and we could all go up there in a couple of weeks, and now we can spend the night in the house, if we wanted to, you know what I mean? So, and whatever we do in there, as long as it's not illegal or destroy it, we're fine. So we want to do like Ouija boards and conjuring stuff and do a human sacrifice. We can do whatever we want to do. So who knows what kind of people have gone in there before, what kind of energies they tried to bring out.
Yeah.
And what kind of energies are taking place inside of there.
Yeah.
Like the kids' room. Every time I'd go in the kids' room, the EMF detector would go off. Oh. Every time. I would just sit on the bed. So I would take one step in the room and start going off. I step out, nothing. Huh. So I was sitting in there with another guy, and it was just kind of sitting there going. And Dave, which I'm the spirits, he walked in, and as soon as he stepped in the room, it died. Stepped out of the room and went back up. And for some reason, it liked me in that room.
Huh. Oh. Did you try to interact with it with like a toy or?
I was like, here's a doll, here's this. I mean, because there's it's a little girl or it's this, and I have a hard time believing in little girl ghosts or little kid ghosts, because again, I come from a Christian perspective.
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing that God's going to let a child just be left behind.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard which I kind of agree with the sentiment too, but I know you did say that not all hauntings are demonic, but I kind of feel like if somebody sees a child ghost, I think it's probably more of a demonic because they're innocent. So I honestly think it would be more of a demonic entity than it would be an actual child ghost. That's just the way I feel about it.
So here's the thing too. So there's more to this where I get a lot of people at. We have gotten away from a lot of our beliefs. Mankind has, humankind has. We've gotten away from a lot of them. So you take the church, right? And I mean the church, I'm talking about everybody's church, every church, not just not any Baptist, Lutheran, none, Catholic, Mormon, whatever. You go back 150 years ago, the teachings were different than what they're teaching today. Okay. So, of course, I hear all the time too, we went through the burn, the witch phase. Yeah, we went through that. That was a dark time in the church's, thing. But, that was, politics involved that place with it. But you were taught differently in church. For example, okay, we've got a spirit. The church will step in real quick. They want to question you and go, you know what, Fallon, have you taken your medication? You're on drugs. You need to be on drugs. That's what you get hit with. Oh, either you're on drugs or you need to be on drugs. So if you come out and you go, hey, my house is haunted today, you're going to have a lot of people go, so what else you smoking?
Yeah.
What you drinking at? Listen, I've been drunk a lot in my life. I'm 50 years old. I was in the Army. I drank a lot. Not one time that I hallucinated anything in drinking. Not once.
No.
Now, I don't do anything, other. That's my two biggest vices. My three would be like nicotine, caffeine, and, beer every once in a while. But this is actually 7 up, by the way. But 150 years ago, you would tell the church, hey, I got problems going on. And they're going, time to go to war, boys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they were going to come in and do what they could. Nowadays, it's a totally different aspect. So there's more to the paranormal than, okay, it's a ghost. And I'll ask people all the time, so what is a ghost? What is a ghost? What is it? I mean, is it the spirit of our loved ones or somebody who has passed on, has been left behind? Is it their energy that's been trapped here? Is it a part of their energy that's been trapped here? Is it a memory? Is it an echo? Is it something interdimensional? There's so many things that comes with the paranormal to where I don't have the answers for. I don't know what a ghost is. And I told somebody, well, I don't know what a ghost is. No, you don't believe in ghosts. That's not what I said.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know what a ghost is. You don't believe in ghosts. Okay, I'll try this for the third time. You know what I mean? And people want to hear what they want to hear, or they watch the shows and they want to believe what they want to hear. You know what I mean? I help spirits pass on. And I'm like, I'm sure some spirits do need help, depending upon the circumstances of it are. But at the same time, too, it's not necessarily, prime example. Okay. So I do paranormal and cryptid hunting. I investigate both. Okay. And what's funny is that you take the same approach to investigating both. You really do. Yesterday, I heard voices, heard a growl. Okay. Ray possibly heard a tree knock. Okay. I didn't hear it. I don't know if I caught it on camera or not. We haven't got that far yet. And we saw a footprint and the structure stuff. Okay, cool. So you take all of that and you put that into a house. All that activity we put into a house. You have a poltergeist.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You take a poltergeist, you take out the woods, you have a cryptid.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I mean, you think about it. People see shadow figures, creatures in the woods.
Yeah.
People see them in the house, seeing shadow beings and stuff. So where's the correlation at? Where do they meet up at? What is the unifying tie-in between the cryptid and the paranormal, what we're looking at? Prime example. Okay, so, we have houses that were built 10 years ago, right? Brand new neighborhood, brand new subdivision built 10 years ago. Why is it haunted? Why are they having poltergeist activity?
Maybe somebody went to a flea market and bought something that something was attached to.
Maybe it was built on some kind of Indian grounds or some kind of sacred something that really bad in history happened on, or something.
All of North America is an Indian burial ground.
Or somebody used a Ouija board.
Okay, so what is it? So Ouija board is the tool. The most powerful Ouija board in the world. We carry it with us every day.
Our phones.
Prime example, right? What is the internet?
Vast world of information.
Where is it?
Where is it?
Space.
In the cloud.
Where is
In
it?
the cloud.
Can we go and can we call the internet? Can we call and complain to the internet?
You can call
What
it
is
to
the
the
internet?
company.
We can call a company that gives us the internet.
Yeah.
But what is the internet? Where are they getting it from? See what I'm saying? Servers, this. So the internet, right? I mean, so here it is. You can Google anything in the world. Okay. So let's talk about new creepypasta. Slenderman.
My kids
The
love
rake.
creepypasta.
Okay, so exactly. Ready? So now, back in my day, the big thing was that we would do was Bloody Mary.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Y'all remember that? You go to the bathroom, turn the lights off, spray out the house, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary.
Yep.
Ta-da! You're doing a manifestation right there. You are performing a ritual right there. So now, instead of doing that, now we're doing this. Okay, so let's create. So now we're creating on the internet. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
So now we're generating a story. And now the energy gets put into that through the internet and through our own ceremony that we do. You know, praying is a type of ceremony. You know, it is. You think about it. It's what you're doing. So now you're creating and bringing it into being. So I tell everybody, we carry the most powerful Ouija board around with us every single day.
Yeah.
So again, all theory. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just theorizing.
No, I mean, I think there was a movie that was kind of like about that. Like so many people, like somebody started like this story about a creature. Like so many people started to believe it. They actually brought it, like manifested it.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's what a Ouija board does. So I'll be honest with you. If you're using a Ouija board to try and contact your dead grandma to get her recipe, I guarantee you're not talking to grandma to get her recipe because she's already making cookies for Jesus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's quite happy. You know, I do believe the fact of the matter, me and JD have a theory. We've been kicking it around of happy ghosts, happy hauntings. You know, there is a theater, and he would be able to tell you where it's at. And they know they'll have a good show if this one ghost appears up, you know, in the chairs. If he's there, they're going to have a good show.
Yeah.
So is that his happy place? Was that one of the happy places here on earth? And maybe we're allowed to, at some points, visit our happy places. Things that brought us joy.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be heaven, right? Joy, right? Part of heaven. I mean, I don't know. I've never been there, you know.
Yeah.
So, a theory. So a happy ghost. So where there's too many times of people saying, yeah, if so-and-so shows up or this happens, it's a good thing. We've taken away, but nowadays we've got it all into, everything is turned into a demonic haunting. Now, we're talking about the kid ghost. So I was talking earlier, there's other things, there's other paranormal aspects to the world than just, of ghosts. There's the fae folk to consider. I'm a big proponent of the fae folk. The fae folk are featured all over the world. They are featured in every culture, all over the world, ancient cultures all over the world. There is like a whole, there's books totally dedicated, and not to like discredit, to where their way of life, how they do this, how they do that. Take a look at Tolkien. Tolkien's work on Middle Earth. Very accurate. And ironic enough, how it's called Middle Earth. There's too many things that can tie in to have to deal with some of these other type of entities. You have in Iceland, for example, when it comes to the fae folk and the trolls, they actually will build roads around a suspected, they will go out of the way and spend more money to build a road so it doesn't go through the fae area.
Yeah.
Or a potential troll area. For them, that's a way of life. It's not a, oh yeah, it's kind of funny that we do that. No, they're serious about it.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they exist. I wholeheartedly believe all those. Yeah, the brownies, like all those things.
So now let's talk about the fae. The fae are not these happy little fluttery things that Peter Pan taught us that, Tinkerbell was. They're not really nice. And I talk about a lot of them because, well, we have our own little, even my dog goes, yep, you and the fairies, Dad. I say, I know them damn fairies. I have a fairy village outside of my house to try and keep them happy. I mean, I have iron staked around my house. No lie, I really do.
Oh, wow.
So when I moved in, I mean, Jacob goes, "You got the stakes?" Like, yep. And I mean, we're out at every corner of the outside of my house. I've got iron staked in to protect the house, so they won't cross into the iron. You know, so but I created this fairy village years ago for my kids. I thought was fun with the Hobby Lobby. They saw the fairy house, like, "Oh, Dad!" I was like, "All right, why not? We'll put some fairy houses up. That's kind of cool for the kids. It'd be kind of fun thing." Not knowing what I was doing. Like I don't have a welcome mat on my front door that says welcome. Have nothing that says welcome around my house at all because they're not.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean? So when we create these things, we're already inviting these things into our home. And then the worst one is the fairy world that we brought in. I can't seem to get rid of it. Is an elf on a shelf.
Oh yeah, that little guy.
I mean, we are literally bringing in the fae into our home with the elf on a shelf. And all the cute little things that we're doing with it and everything else like that. Again, it's almost like a ritual. I did two funny things for it this year. One, I poured chocolate syrup into a cup, set them into it, and had a note that said, "I dared to pour milk into it." Okay. My kids thought that was funny. My little boy got sick all the way up leading to Christmas, and he got really sick. So I wrapped him up because he loves the elf on the shelf. So I wrapped it up in a paper towel, gave it a little pillow, took some little tissue, sprinkled it around it, like, "Oh, look, he's sick too." You know what I mean?
Oh.
See, I'm a good dad. Good single dad. Anyways, but again, too, they're kind of creating some sort of like, yeah, welcome to my house. How are you? Welcome to the elf on the shelf. I mean, the lady who came up with that idea is got to be rolling in the money. I wish I'd have came up with that idea first. But again, we're inviting these things in.
Yeah.
And stuff that we don't really pay attention to. So yeah, I did. So I had one kind of fae encounter with a coffee cup a couple of years ago, and that's when the war began. So it was my favorite coffee cup too.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, they broke it.
Oh.
In my hand.
Oh.
That's never happened before.
So they just like shatter?
No, so all right, so you got your cup of coffee, you got the handle right there, you're drinking coffee, and I was on the phone, and Jacob was inside the house and talking about the show or something. I was outside, and you get right to the little bit in a little coffee, you're done with it. So you go to toss it, right? Right?
Yeah.
I go to toss it. The whole cup goes flying. The handle's in my hand.
Oh.
Cleanly cut.
Oh, wow. Huh.
No cracking, no breaking. I mean, there's no reason at all for this coffee cup to that makes it fall off when I was just drinking out of it.
Huh.
Not at all. And my friend on the phone, she goes, "Oh, it's the fairies. It's the fae folk." I was like, "What?" Of course, that wasn't the language I used, but I was like, "What do you mean?" And so she started breaking it down. So that was another hour and a half conversation on the phone, me trying to figure out how I'm going to get rid of these, fairies at my house. And that's when I started learning the iron and stuff like that. So,
Wow.
So every once in a while, I'll take them a little bit of whiskey, and I'll go pour some whiskey out there, and I'm putting a little glass for them, and I'll set it in their little fae town, little fae village, and that we made, and I had little lights to it, and I decorated it up a little bit, and the kids helped me do it. Oh yeah, I make sure that the fae are happy. Yep. Kids are not nice. So let's look at that one. So let's look at the fae folk being involved in parts on the paranormal stuff. If you look at what we do on poltergeist activities, and you look back to the old legends of what the fae would do in your house, 1 and 1 equals 2.
Yeah, that's very true.
I was always under the impression that the fae were more like tricksters than they were mean or aggressive.
So they're neutral. They're not really mean or aggressive. They're neutral. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care if it hurts you. They don't care if it doesn't hurt you. They don't care. I think to the fae that we are an annoyance to them. Or we're their entertainment. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they have been here longer than we have.
Yeah.
And I do think that they are part of the pre-Adam life that happened before pre-Adam in the Bible.
Okay.
That's a whole nother show.
It's interesting.
Y'all just probably go, who is this guy?
No, not at all. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Really if anything, it makes you think.
Yeah, definitely gets you, thinking and asking questions. You're like, huh, and like I've never thought about that before as a possibility. So then just kind of makes you start thinking.
So, well, read. I mean, and that's the thing too. So, read some of these old books. Don't read, today. But go look some of these older books that were written. Now, be careful too, because the language in there is kind of it is offensive. Um, some of it. It's like when you're doing cryptid research. So, what do we know about these creatures that science has not recognized, right? And where do we get those ideas from? Well, we get it from a whole bunch of old white guys in England. So when England was going out exploring the world, right, they'd have all these, they'd have these professors, these educated guys, Cambridge. I'm a Cambridge man. This, my professors taught me. They know everything. So they would travel and they meet, ingenious people, and they go, "Oh, hey, welcome. Hey, how are you? Yeah, hey, that is a giraffe. You're right, people. You guys are smart. That's a giraffe. That's a hippo. Yep, that's a hippo. We agree. You're seeing a hippo. That's a weird, strange creature over there. Don't go over there because it will eat you. You are dumb and illiterate and stupid because my professor told me that doesn't exist. So it's not real." The mountain gorilla was not recognized until the 1920s, just 100 years ago. So for us, we don't think that far back though. So we've known of the mountain gorilla and the platypus, right?
Yeah.
And we kind of make fun of the platypus. When the platypus was first discovered and sent to England, that was fake. They literally thought it was fake.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it took a long time for people to go, "Oh, the platypus is real." They talk about the mountain gorilla. The locals talk about the mountain gorillas. And again, these lovely English guys, again, not attacking the English at all, but they would be like, "No, you're dumb." So same thing. They came over, when the settlers were coming over here, and the First Nation people were telling them, "Hey, there's a big creature over there. We call this dead mountain for a reason. We call this devil mountain for a reason." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, you guys are so illiterate and dumb. You're savages. You don't know how to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No. So think about it. You're a culture. You're a group of people who've lived on the land for hundreds of years. Don't you think you know what a giraffe is, or what a horse is, or what a lion is, or what a Bigfoot is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to remember too, certain stories are to try and encourage people to overcome obstacles and kind of give hope and stuff. But a lot of times, these histories that were passed down were histories that were passed down. They were not for entertainment value.
Right.
I mean, their entertainment value was, old Bob today was out there trying to catch a bison and the bison stomped him. Remember how funny that was? Everybody laughs at Bob,
Yeah.
but hey, watch out. Make sure that we give food over to this spot because, the hairy man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you listen to certain other First Nation people, some tribes had a good relationship with these creatures. Some tribes did not. And again, over here too, they talk about the little people. They talk about like brownies. They have all those things over here as well. Just a different name. And of course, it's going to look different as well because it's a different thing. So let's also talk about though, when the settlers were coming across, maybe they were bringing some of these things with them, not knowing it. Maybe they're hitching a ride.
Yeah, it's very, very possible. Yeah.
So,
Very interesting.
sorry, I didn't mean to take over your show.
That's what you're here for.
You should really write a book. Really.
The Theology of Cryptids / Paranormal.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe it was
written by Dr. Matthew Orton. I'll just give myself the title of doctor. I identify as a doctor. Okay, no jokes. Right. That's the only joke I'm gonna throw out there.
Okay, so I'm gonna change our direction completely.
Please do.
And I'm gonna ask, okay, so with where you mentioned that you grew up, and with you being focused, I'm not gonna say primarily, but a lot of focus on Bigfoot. Did you have a Bigfoot experience when you were younger that triggered your focus to go that way, or was it just the Fort Hood experience?
Excuse me.
Oh. uh, oh, I don't know exactly.
I'm gonna guess
Y'all
and
talk
say
for a minute. No
I'm
disrespect.
I'm gonna guess and say he had a childhood experience before the foothood experience.
No,
Okay, he's
no,
saying no.
no,
Okay,
he
so
hasn't. Okay.
it was singularly that experience that directed the focus that way.
My mom had one. She told us about when I was oh my gosh, I'm having a hard time.
You okay?
Yeah, let me step away just for a minute. Trying to
Okay.
Yeah, hang on a second. I'll be right back. Y'all have a transition. I'll get your answer in a minute though. Hang on.
Okay, no worries.
Does that SNL skit talk amongst yourselves?
Yeah, okay. So how's your day been?
If you weren't paying attention at the beginning, I was talking about how terrible my day was actually. I would say terrible. It just was the whole weekend has just if it could go wrong this weekend, it has gone wrong this weekend.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. How is your day?
It's been all right. Just getting baby girl stuff ready for tomorrow.
No. Yeah, it's her daughter's first day at school tomorrow.
Yay. Yes, and I am not looking forward to it at all. But it's something that she needs, and it's it's what's about her. So
to stay on topic with our podcast and our recording, do you think her school may or may not be haunted?
I'm probably not.
No, probably not. Hasn't really been there a whole lot. Like, it hasn't really been there a long time.
Mm-hmm. But like you said, it's to stay on topic with what we do. When do you want to try to go to the haunted place that we called our grandparents a while back?
Well, we've talked about setting up a camera there to see if we catch anything.
We haven't decided on which one we're yet.
She wants to go there.
I want to go.
Potato. I remember this conversation very clearly, and I said, "You're out of your damn mind, and we're going to set up a camera first." Hi, welcome back. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I'm sorry.
No, you're all right. No worries.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I got sick there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was the Fae.
Well, what was the last thing you were talking about?
Yeah, I know. I do it all the time, which is weird. Little bastards. Anyways, I did not have any encounters as a kid that I know of. Looking back, I mean, there could have been, rocks thrown, tree knocked, stuff like that. We just wrote it off. But my mom had an encounter. My stepdad went through a lot of quiet. When the woods get really quiet, yeah, there's a problem. So, I'm still struggling there. But I believed in it. Like when the Patty Gilman film, stuff like that, my grandpa watching it and telling me, he's up there. So everybody knew. It was always talked about. So it was always cool. I was a kid reading books in the library about the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot and stuff. And I really wanted the Loch Ness Monster to be real. I really, really did, So, but yeah, my Fort Hood encounter was the one that, and even then I didn't look at it as a Sasquatch encounter either at the time because of what the events that took place with it. Because at the time, everybody looks at Bigfoot as just a solely flesh and blood creature. And I, what happened down there that night was not, I don't know what it was or what they were. But it was probably one of the scariest nights of my life. So, and that's what pushed me to do it. And it was watching the show, People's Encounters, not investigations. Those are shows I like as encounters. So, and these people were talking about these rocks being thrown at them. And I sat up. I was like, that happened to me. That was me on guard duty. So, and then I listened to Sasquatch Chronicles with Wes Germer. And somebody had a story on. I was like, okay, part of that happened to me. And that's when the whole show started. And to this day, I don't know what it was, but I know that we have missing time. I know that my guards were crying and wanting to leave the guard site. I know that it threw a giant rock at me. I know that it was running around. I know it walked up on me. It was gone. Literally walking up to me. It got 4 feet in front of me, and I turned the flashlight on, and Nothing was there.
Cool.
Something to my right bolted off out of the thicket. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it was that night. But.
So that kind of an experience kind of triggered you to go, because most people who would have an experience like that would kind of say, okay, I don't want to know any more about it. I'm just gonna, that was the scariest night of my life and I don't want to relive it. I don't want to experience anything like that again. But you kind of took it the other way with the intrigue, and you really kind of wanted to figure it out a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm. I've always wanted to know. So it happened in August of 2002, right before we went to war. So my whole life changed that summer from the encounter there in August, then events happening months later. You know, so it was pushed out of my head until after I was injured. Came home in 2004. It was sometime probably, 2009, 2010. I was watching a show and they were talking, the encounter. I love that's the shows I do watch, the encounters ones. They, like these woods are haunted or so. I love those. I don't know why. I love those. I even love the found footage caught on camera. I don't know why I like those too. So I remember because I sleep with the TV on. And I was watching this. I was like, all right, this put me to sleep. All right, not a big deal. And as soon as they started describing these rocks being thrown down, I was like, hey, that's kind of, wait a minute. That happened to me. And then I started digging more and more. And then I started doing research into cloaking. And I've got footage. I can't show it right now. Well, the episode, when's this going to air?
Figure probably what?
What is today? Sunday? So Friday.
Yeah.
I can't share it with you. I'll share with you the footage I have when we're done recording. Okay. So, but yeah, I got two really cool clips. But anyways, so the more and more that cloaking and digging into, because there's no way realistically that whatever walked up on me, 4 feet in front of me, and you could tell it was right there. I mean, it was right there. There's no reason for it not to be nothing there at all. When I'm a fully trained non-commissioned officer in the United States Army, infantry, ranger, everything like that at all, I know people walking in the woods. I know animals walking in the woods. We don't do our training in the barracks. We train. We're outside. We're in the woods all the time. Yeah. Infantry soldiers are out there all the time. I've seen cool wildlife out there. I've seen more cooler wildlife, in the military than I did, in the mountains of the, Utah and Wyoming. So, but this thing walked straight towards me. Just steady step. And to the point where, I was like, it's right here. I'm about to surprise whoever this is. They don't know I'm right here. Boom. Flashlight on. Boom. Nothing there. Boom. Something jumps and bolts of the thicket beside me.
Oh.
It was, yeah. And of course, I went and chased it. As I jumped up to chase it, right behind me, this rock lands, big rock. And I spin around. There's one of my guards. And I grabbed him. I pulled him up, face to face. And I'm, this mean sergeant, you SOB and F this and F that. And if you guys are effing, the F word was really, really, every other word I was using at the time. But the premises was, if this is you guys messing with me, I'm going to bury you guys out here in the woods right now. And the kid was crying. He was literally crying. He had tears. It was running down his eyes. And that's when the log broke in the woods behind me. I shoved off of him. I spun around. I went jumping over. Because again, I'm thinking it's people. The whole entire time I'm thinking it's people. There's nothing. And all we were doing was guarding an ammunition area for a unit to go do gunnery. We weren't training. We were on guard duty. Nobody was attacking us. We weren't training to be attacked. There was no other unit training to attack us. None of that. He was guarding an ammunition holding area for a Table 8 Bradley gunnery range. Yeah. that was it. I mean, yeah. So, yeah, scariest. Yeah, one of the scariest nights of my life.
I could definitely understand why, and I could definitely understand how all of the questions from
Well,
that
there
night.
was other stuff leading up to that too, though. That right there, but that was what I mean. I had enough, and I thought there were people. I actually thought it was another unit that has mistaken for somebody else. I really did. I thought these guys were lost. Whoever's out here, they are lost. There's no reason for them to be out here at all.
Yeah.
At all. So, but yeah, but it was quiet, and there was a cold spot, and there was weird noises that didn't make sense, and I mean, everything fit. Like I said, you take all of that what happened to us, and you put it into a house, and it's a poltergeist.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I've never really associated paranormal with cryptids, but since you're mentioning it and you're kind of piecing together the characteristics of a cryptid compared to a poltergeist, it does make sense.
Yeah.
There are a lot of similar characteristics of events that people who have had encounters and experiences, have mentioned that are comparably the same.
orbs. How many times in a paranormal case are we counting orbs? Prime example in the area that we were talking about earlier, up there by you guys. So this past summer, 3 eyewitnesses witnessed this gray figure. They thought it was us. We had 2 teams investigating. That was one of the teams walking through the front yard. It was a big, dark gray figure that kind of stood out a little bit against the black of the night. And Larry was calling it in. We have contact. There's it's right here. And I called back on the radio, record, because I'm guilty as well of, not recording, when we're doing these things. So he did on camera. You can hear them talking. And of course, the IR didn't, I mean, he wasn't able to pick it up. I mean, so you can hear them on camera talking about where it is. And there's an orb. It's an orb. There's an orb. They're looking at a figure, and there's an orb on camera.
Huh.
Not a bug. I mean, granted, it's July, so every bug in Arkansas is out.
Yeah.
So, and more, I think. A guy created bugs to put them on Arkansas. This migrated out from there to the rest of the world. But yeah, this orb is clearly not a bug at all. So, and its characteristics, how it moves or anything. It's just like, and on camera, there's Larry going, it's right there. It's right there. And then it disappears right when Dave and Ray pop up around, because you see their flashlights bobbing coming up, the beams. So, yeah. And it's gone.
Well, I definitely believe in orbs myself, just from my own personal experiences. That kind of brings me to, because like you said, a lot of people see orbs and relate the orbs to their experiences. And that kind of brings me back to, Fallon and I talk all the time about anytime we do a paranormal case, and I mean pretty much any time, there's always the lady in white. It doesn't matter what part of the world you're talking about. It doesn't matter if it's a hotel. It doesn't matter if it's a seacoast. It doesn't matter if it's on the side of a road. It does not matter. There is 9 out of 10 times going to be a woman in white. So it makes me kind of wonder where does this woman in white always come from? Like, that can't be attached to every paranormal area. So is that what we see as humans? Is that what we see or imagine a ghost to look like? So that's what is in front of us? Or is there really a spirit in white in all of these cases?
Okay, well, so this is a really interesting answer, and I'm probably going to take a long way around, as I've been doing already, so I apologize. Okay, so let's talk about so we see light. We use our eyeballs to see light. Light comes in. That's how we see, process of the brain, right? I interviewed a guy who was in the woods, and he thought walking beside him on the other side of the woods was a guy wearing a red flannel shirt, like a lumberjack, like the brawny guy. Till they turned the corner and surprise, it wasn't. So the brain was processing the information to a point where it's like, okay, scary, make it not scary. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, so if you listen to anybody who's had a car, so why do the cops always take multiple reports on a car accident? And they'll tell you the guy will be wearing a white shirt, and you will hear people say it was a black shirt. It was a red shirt. It was you know what I mean? Because the brain's processing totally different in the aspect. You know, in the military too, when we're going on an operation, they interview everybody differently and separately too. Okay, so when you walked in the room, what did you see? What did you do? How did you do this? You took so many steps this way. You know, this is what we do. Second guy comes in. So what did you see the first guy do? I'm describing me going to the right, and he's going, no, he went straight. And he's okay. Now the process too with the visual and how the brain works. The first time up there in the area we're talking about, that first night we were up, when we were there, we got two huffs. We got huffed at twice. It was a kind of a sound, which is not native to Arkansas. So I heard it twice to my right. It was, you know, Ray, Jacob, and then me in that order. I heard it going to the right, the two huffs. What in front of me, they looked left and then they looked right because they heard it left and then right. So is my brain putting it to the right? Or do we have one, you know what I mean, to where not comprehending there was one on one side and one on the other side?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it two on the right? So was I right and they were wrong on what they heard? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to some of these things right here, so the visual of the lady in white is a very common thing. And yeah, it's all over the world. It's like every state, almost every town, almost everywhere. I mean, the lady in white. So what is a connection to the lady in white? So there's a lot of Lilith ties to the lady in white, by the way. Okay. There's a lot of, Lilith ties and a lot to the Fae as well. So there's lady in white's also featured in with a lot of Sasquatch encounters. And I think that some of the Sasquatch encounters that deal with the lady in white, I don't think they're the flesh and blood Sasquatch that we're used to dealing with. I think it's something that the Fae have generated, you know what I mean, for us to see. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And the lady in white was there. So there's a lot of cases of that. So the lady in white is not necessarily a good thing. I interviewed Tony's wife. She describes this lady in white would be outside the property and would not come onto the property, but would be looking at her from, the road. And she'd be looking at the window. And then she was like going, well, yeah, the house had a lot of crosses and everything. Well, there you go. You were protected. She couldn't come on. She wasn't allowed to. So a lot of times when we think we're talking to entities that are out there, what we think are, harmless, they're not. They're really not. I mean, that's part of the lure of what they're supposed to do to us. And that's why I tell everybody too, you think you're really talking to, your aunt, your dead grandma trying to find out this, but she's in heaven making cookies for Jesus. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
She's in her heaven. She's in her happy place.
Yeah.
So, so the lady in white, to me, it's fascinating, but I do think there's a lot of not good that comes with it.
Yeah.
Because so the lady in white referencing, same thing with Sasquatch. We have Sasquatch encounters all over the world as well. Same, so it's just one of those entities I think is an actual thing that may be produced. Now, I think it may be done something tied in with the Fae, and there's some ties with Lilith. There's a whole bunch of other urban legends that go in with her as well and what she could possibly be.
Yeah.
So, but they're fun stories to hear, though.
They are. I don't know. To me, this is just my personal theory, and I could be completely wrong. But my personal theory is that it's something psychological that our brain creates the image of. Kind of as like you said a minute ago, kind of like a safety net for our brains. Because, you imagine a woman in white, and 9 out of 10 times, whether the spirit is described as having any actions or not actions, she's described often as being very beautiful and often as being very calming, or just being present and not really doing anything. Or sometimes she's singing, and sometimes she's creating a more peaceful environment for an experience somebody had in that same house or that same location, with something that wasn't as calming or peaceful as the woman in white. So maybe it's like our brain's way of calming us down or creating an image of something that's more peaceful to us to see.
I can see that. And honestly, you'd be right. I mean, that's the cool thing about what we do is that, I mean, discussing our theories is what the only way we're going to get to the bottom of it is to discuss our theories.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started, my research years and years and years ago, I was on the Flesh and Blood camp of Sasquatch. I mean, I was fully into it. This is a full-fledged flesh and blood creature, and it's a primate that's existed in North America that they haven't found. Blah blah. I mean, I was really into that camp. Why did it disappear? Why is it able to do certain things? So part of my brain still works on the flesh and blood, except with the woo side. So now I got, I'm trying to justify how the footprints disappear. You see them all the time. Boom, 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 gone. And they're like, oh, they don't want to be followed. They're not, I think we give these creatures too much credit for being intelligent, and then we don't give them enough credit for being intelligent. If that makes sense,
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, they know they're trying to hide their tracks from us. Why? That's the big question. Why? So I got thinking, okay, why would their tracks disappear? What would they do? Well, maybe they're not upright all the time. 90% of encounters always start off with the saying, it stood up.
Yeah.
It stood up. It stood up. Okay, what it stood up from? I mean, why is it standing up? Is it not already standing up? I mean, I'm a bipedal creature. I mean, how many times a day are you squatted down?
Not often.
No,
as little as possible at my age.
Yeah. So now imagine you're that big, heavy, hairy creature with all that weight. I don't care how strong you are. You do have joints.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. So what if they're moving on all fours? Okay, well, let's break that down. Okay. Now let's look at encounters. How many encounters have we seen with Sasquatch moving low? Well, there's a bunch. A lot of people reference it as a spider crawl. And a lot of people who have seen the spider crawl never want to see it ever again. They never want to see these creatures ever again. They want nothing to do with it. Apparently, it is the most unnerving sight to see.
Huh.
Like straight out of a Hollywood horror movie.
I'm gonna say, as long as it's not like the Grudge coming down the stairs, I'll be okay.
See, that's how I kind of picture it. But, so I've looked at, so we were trying to do some AI animation of Sasquatch moving like a spider. And it's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary. It's 100% scary. Like one of the shirts, that's why I have the one shirt, Drunken Cryptids, and Bigfoot's down, and he's into a spider crawl. I think that's how they're moving, they're hunting. If you look at the structures out there, you think about it, it's anywhere between a 6 and 10 foot creature. Why the structure is only 5 feet tall, 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
Are they using the structures for hunting blinds? If you notice, a lot of structures are also near game trails. So they're using them for hunting blinds to be able to, catch food.
Yeah.
Where there's a game trail, there always seems to be a structure. Well, let me phrase that. Where there's a structure, there's a game trail.
Yeah.
Right there. So the structure I showed you guys before we went live, that is right behind the property owner's deer feeder.
Oh, wow.
And there's deer trail all through that area. And there's even a big area where they were bedding down at.
Huh.
Where the deer are, yeah. And there's a little blind right there. Just reach out and grab.
Well, these are questions.
Woods.
Take me with you in the daytime. I'll go.
All right.
These
it's more fun at night.
It really isn't.
It's at night. Okay, so I'll be on. Okay, I've never been bluff charged. That has happened to other people. I've never been bluff charged. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. The scariest thing that's happened was the first time we went there right off the bat. Like I said, we got lucky, got growled at. And again, that could have been a bobcat. Now, last night's chatter and stuff.
I love how you say we got lucky and got growled at.
I am like a kid in a candy store when it comes to this stuff. I really am. I get excited about this stuff. We go to haunted locations or out in the woods, and I get a grin on. And I feel bad for Jacob. Jacob's like my babysitter. Him and Chris are, but Jacob mainly. I don't go armed. Jacob is, and Chris even made like the eye shine night was fascinating. Everybody was like, WTF. And I'm like going, let's get closer. And I was walking straight towards it. And then it blinked. When it blinked, I did take a step back. Went, oh, okay, you're real.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to get closer after that. And then it just disappeared. I mean, it dropped low to the ground and was gone. But it was about 2 inches. The eyes were about 2 inches in diameter, about 6 inches apart.
Dang.
That's a big face.
Yeah.
And it was forward facing too. It was not, it was a forward facing creature. So, but again, too, though, it didn't make any kind of threats or nothing at all towards us. Yeah, think about it, a dog is going to growl. Your cat's going to hiss.
That's true.
You're thinking about it, all the time. Like people ask all the time, does it bite? Yeah, doesn't your dog? Doesn't your cat? It's a mental thing. It's just, when you're out there. And on top of that, though, we've gotten so comfortable being surrounded by all this. For when we go out there to that, we're uncomfortable. Yeah. When we're designed to be out there and not in here. Which actually, I kind of disagree with that statement too, though, because we are not able to survive out there with what we are given. Yeah. We can't survive the elements.
No.
With our skin and fur.
Yeah, not anymore.
We'd be frozen to death already. We'd be a whole bunch of dead people.
Yeah. That last little spell that we had probably would have got us.
It would have got me. What'd y'all get? They told me that y'all got about 6, maybe 8 inches of snow up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like 8 to, what did we get? I think we may have gotten like 8 to 10, something like that.
Yeah, we had 11 of snow and sleet down here. 11 inches of it here.
I say we got 7 inches of snice.
Snice.
I like that one.
It was like snow and then a whole layer of ice right over the snow. So you couldn't like go enjoy it or walk through it. You just slide right across the.
Oh no, they had sled. They were having a blast, and they were trying to walk up to I have a little slope in my yard, so it was just for them. And they were trying to walk back up and slipping on that, and I was laughing. I was like, "Yeah, y'all just keep on having fun, do your thing, get tired, go to bed."
Yeah. No, see, I live on an island, like an actual island, and I'm surrounded by water.
How cool is that?
So we can't do things like that here. You take any wrong turn in any direction, and you're swimming, and you ain't getting back out.
How cool is that, though, that you live on an island? That would be awesome.
It is, but it isn't, because, from situations like that, there's no way out, because the only way to get off the island is to go over a bridge that had to be made in like the 1700s that's still being held up by railroad ties. I'm not kidding. It really is. It's like railroad slabs and railroad ties and a piece of metal over the top of that. And that's it. That's your whole bridge. And it's like this wide. You have like two vehicles can't go over it. If another car's coming, one of y'all just has to be courteous enough to pull over. And if you're pulling over, you're going in a ditch. So you just have to be patiently sitting in a ditch to let the other one come by. So in situations like that, it's not great because you're kind of trapped on the island. Yeah. Or if it rains a lot, we've had it flood over the bridge, and we've gotten trapped on the island because you can't get out.
Yeah. Or a tree.
Get a Jeep.
No, we were in a Jeep, actually. We were in her husband's Jeep. My daughter was on the other side of the bridge, and she called, and she's like, "Mom, I can't get home." And so we went to go get her, actually, in the Jeep because she was in a car, and we could not get to her. The water was moving so fast because they were generating the river to push the water down. Okay. That my husband tried to step in it, and he got to he's about 6 foot tall, and he got right to his knees. And he just started getting carried away. He had to grab a hold of a tree and get his footing and walk back to the Jeep. And I had to tell her, you're going to have to go find a friend's house to stay at or go to your grandma's because we can't get you.
Stuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you have stories like that. We don't.
Well, that's
see. Because you got to remember,
she does,
at the end of the day, that's all we have left is our stories.
That's true.
It's part of our legacy. So you have stories like that to share. That's where people go, how cool is that? And of course, you're going, no, it sucks. But everybody else are going, how cool. Trapped on an island, the water's flowing. Ooh, we all like drama. That's why there's so many reality shows out there.
That's why there's so many awesome cryptid paranormal podcasts out there too, because that's our mentality. One person is sharing an experience, and you've got, like Fallon and you would be over there going, that's so awesome, that's so cool. And then you've got me in the corner going, that's terrifying.
Okay, so that's Jacob. Okay, so Jacob, I love Jacob. All right, so the first time we go to Jacob is probably one of the biggest hearts of people you'll ever meet. He's very empathetic. And we got growled at. We found the knuckle track. I'm all excited. It's getting dark. And even Jacob goes, so Ray was like, I'm not going out at night. And I'm like, that's okay. You don't have to. I don't need you to babysit me. I know where I'm going. I'm okay. And his wife, at least they kind of goaded him into it. I'm not going to lie, she kind of did. But Jacob pulled me aside and he goes, why don't these people move? And I went, because they live here. And he goes, yeah, but I said, no, they live here. They bought this as their property. This is theirs. This is their home. I said, we're here to see if we can try and, we're not here to scare anything. We're not here to capture anything. We're not here to just kill anything. We're here to verify for them, because it can be, you're dealing with a creature that doesn't exist. So we're here to try and verify for them what's going on and what we can maybe come up with a theory on how to keep them away from the house. Yeah. And he's like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to react if we see something tonight. And I went, fair. All right, fair. I get that. I said, tell you what, follow me, watch me. If you get scared, something happens, don't run. Whatever you do, don't run. Because if it is a creature, you're going to trigger his, predator prey instinct. Right? And so if you get scared, grab me and tell me you're done. And we'll come back up here. Yeah. And he was like, okay. That takes a real man right there to do that. So, and I give Jacob props all the time for wanting to, well, not wanting to. He's just like, hey, I'm going to go do this. He's like, all right, when we go? Like, we're going to Falk here in a couple months. And he's like, well, that'll be fun. And again, it's all fun until you get growled at, or, there's, now they left us. I mean, yeah, it's a crazy spot. It is weird. And so when we go to Kansas in 2 weeks, we're going to a haunted mortuary. And I've actually got holy water for Jacob. I want Jacob to carry the holy water with him. So, gotta look after my boy. Mm-hmm. So, but that's, that Jacob's the same way. He's right there with it all the way through.
Fallon, you've never once brought in holy water for me.
I don't know where to get holy water.
You get it from a church. You take water to a church. You have a priest bless it. Give them holy water.
I have Catholic friends.
I don't know if I could just walk into a church and be like, can you bless the water for me?
It has to be blessed by a Catholic priest. And there's not really a whole lot.
Actually, I think the mindset is a Catholic priest. I got a buddy of mine, and I was getting ready to go to the Sally house. Again, I have no idea what I'm dealing with. Bears are making this out to be like some demonic house, like the house of demons are going to get me. I mean, I have to deal with like Satan and everything in this house. So I was going, hey, Don. He goes, yeah. I said, hey, you're coming to Steeler game. He goes, yeah. I said, hey, will you do me a favor on your way out of church? Will you stop by? Will you get me some holy water? And he goes, oh yeah, I can do that. So the only container he had was, those juice things that the kids get in the stores with the cartoon characters. They cost like $4.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's a Minnie Mouse one in my Jeep full of holy water.
Oh.
Nice. And it's funny. It's for my kids. They were doing something. They go, found the holy water. I'm like, yep. I mean, it's funny. I'm laughing about it. I kind of feel like, am I doing this right? I mean, kind of like a way of life. And so my little boy on Friday, and he goes, so you're going to Woods tomorrow? I said, yeah, I'm going to go to Woods tomorrow. He goes, all right, go find him. I'm like, I'm going to try. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, not to try to cut things short or anything, but we're about an hour and a half.
Yes, we are. I was looking at that. I tell you guys what. So next time I'm going up there, I tell you what. I'll tell you off the air when I'm going back up there, but it will be in April. So I'll drop the hint, but I'll tell you off the air when we go back up there. So
Okay, cool.
I will let you guys know. We'll try and link up. There's a restaurant diner right there in the corner.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Never been in there. Good food.
We have to know. It's the only one.
It's the only one there.
Literally just the one.
That's not too bad. I think the only thing that we've really had so far is like the burgers and the catfish. But
I'm a burger guy.
Not too bad. But before we go, do you want to plug anything, Mr.?
Oh yeah, all right. You guys can follow me, Drunken Cryptids. I'm on all your streaming services. I do an encounter-based show to where people come on, they share their encounters, we discuss it. I'm a lot nicer on the show. Let's see here, what else? Doing our own festival this year, the Arkansas Cryptid Fest on June 6th. It's going to be at 600 North Broadway, Old Bart's at Diamond Bear in North Little Rock. They are shutting down the restaurant for us. We have VIP tickets. Everything is on my Facebook page and on the Arkansas Cryptid Fest Facebook page as well. So yeah, please like and share and everything. So I appreciate it. If you had an encounter and want to come on, talk to me about it, shoot me a message. We'll talk.
I highly recommend that you do that because he's fun to talk to. And we will also put the links to the tickets for that in this interview.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
For sure.
We appreciate you coming on the show and doing an interview with us. You are awesome to talk to. You have a lot of information.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, you do. You have a lot of information.
I appreciate it. It is nice. On my show, I like to let my guests talk. So getting a chance to come out and talk and share, that's why I sometimes get all over the place. And like this morning on my live show, I had Eric Szilagyi from Uncomfortable on. And you can tell when you have, when you do an interview style show and you get a chance to talk, you don't shut up. Because like, I've got so much to hold that's been held in for so long. So like on my coffee show, you guys see me blah, 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 blah. It's like a week of recordings ready to spill out. So, but thank you guys for letting me ramble. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, anytime. You are more than welcome on here anytime.
All right, we'll try to have it out by Friday, which anybody watching this will be watching it, so they won't need that information. But I'm letting you know that we should have this out by Friday.
Well, thank you guys.
So, yeah,
we'll definitely also. I'll just say that after we're done recording. But anyway,
all right. So this ends our recording. Bye.
We appreciate it. Bye.